We'd like to welcome each and every individual to Voices of Integrity, powerful video library. And, as you get deeper into this, they all build on one another. Like whoever put this together was just a genius because they all just, like, it's like, really? Leverage the magical arts of positive motivation and manipulation. It's a course that was actually developed by Tom Coons, most recent past president of Century 21, largest real estate franchise in the world. Peter Miles, past board member, BMW, past president of Rolls-Royce, and myself, and then a number of other people went through and did the course. I definitely encourage you to go through the course because it's a powerful one. And so normally we don't go ahead and watch the video, but because it's only a minute long, we'll watch this one here. So let me go ahead and it's going to be interesting to see, if it has the same impact on you as it does me. This is one of the videos that my son Jonathan created. And so it's got a lot of meaning to me. A lot of meaning. So if you'll indulge me, I'm going to go back through it again. This is Kevin King. He's the first individual that introduced me that said that I would be a great comedian. Like this guy, he reminds me of Elaine. Like this guy took notes like nobody's business. Like, man, did he take notes. He's the one that introduced me to the concept of when your life vision's bigger than death, you get over stuff. His son died probably 10 years ago, I'm guessing, something like that, maybe 7, 8 years ago. Brain aneurysm, 25 years old. Brain aneurysm, just dropped dead, just boom, he was just gone. And that's the video that Jonathan put together. And then 2, 3 years later, Jonathan died. Kevin had 3 strokes and almost died. But last I heard, he's on 24-hour care. And so Kevin was very, very instrumental in the Coffee Connections, in the mastermind events, all of those type of things. I think that's me, or maybe no, that's me. And so at the same time, impact the lives of people. The atomic ripple reaction tree, or ART, was discovered or created with Emily Dunn with Life Masteries Institute. She and I worked on bringing peace to the Middle East and serenity to self. So how do you bring peace to the Middle East? So we thought about that, brainstormed about it, and then I came up with this crazy idea. Well, how's a nuclear bomb get its How does a nuclear bomb get its power? And it's actually, it starts off. So I started doing research, actually talked to somebody. I don't know if he was part of the Manhattan Project or knew somebody. I think he was part of it. I don't know. Anyways, an older gentleman, very interesting. And so it's just a little spark, and then all of a sudden it ripples out. And I'm like, well, wouldn't that be ironic if you use the concepts of an atomic bomb, and use that to bring peace to the Middle East and serenity to self? Pretty interesting. So this is ski. Kenny and Jason both met ski on our East Coast trip. And so you choose two people. This is Ski and Kevin. So you choose two people. Help them discover their WIFM, what's in it for me, learning to be selfless in a selfish way. And so this is Jonathan's wife, Megan. You help each of them choose two people as the atomic ripple starts to ripple out. So you wouldn't think about caring about two people would be that big of a deal or that hard to do. I'm telling you, it's insane how hard it is. It's absolutely insane. Well, this is what's interesting is you have a ripple, so that's, so that's the first ripple, and that equals three people. So you have a founder and then two people, and that equals three. Ripples, there's seven people. Three ripples, there's 15. Four, there's 30. Five, there's 90. Six, there's 210. Seven, there's 450. Eight, there's 939. There's 1,890. 10 ripples, there's 3,810. 11 ripples, there's 7,650. 13 or 12 ripples, there's 15,330. Now, in theory, every ripple becomes stronger than the previous one. Like when you think about the concept of this, where there's what's called progressional degeneration. What that means is every generation becomes more weaker and more deprived. But there's progressional, I don't know, regeneration or progeneration or something, where each generation can be stronger than the previous generation, but it's a theory. It doesn't seem to work. Huh. Bottom line is that you will help a lot of people and they will help you. So, oh, there's a lot of history to this, a lot of power, a lot of power, a lot of power to it. So I'm interested, I'm very intrigued, I'm very curious about what you guys all, got from this. Melissa, honey, what'd you get from it?
Yes, Western agriculture.
Elaine, what did you get from it?
What I got from it is if we have ripples and we build on these ripples, then we should have a very solid foundation to build any business or anything that we need to have for an income or anything like that, or just as a group of people.
Nice. Ben, what did you get from it?
I'm gonna be honest, I just jumped in, so I didn't get to see the video.
Gotcha. Rosanna, what did you get from it?
That leverage is a good thing, and that if you use the leverage in the right way, you can get a lot accomplished.
Nice. Luke Boersma, what did you get from this?
I mean, I enjoyed it. It seems to match some of the thoughts that you live by, but I'm still trying to get over the fact that you do a bunch of things you don't think will work. That kind of blew my mind.
Why is that?
I'm pretty sure I live by a different philosophy that's very much opposite. So
Gotcha.
it's foreign to me.
Gotcha. So in 3M, the company 3M, I don't know how familiar you are with that company.
Not much, just heard of them.
Yeah, so they're a real big company, a worldwide company, and it's crazy. So they went ahead and I think it's 97% of their products fail.
Well,
It might be 99%.
that's fascinating.
Yeah. So here you have this massively successful company. Like, I mean, crazy successful company. And they fail most of the time. Like, it's so intriguing to me. And it's just happened recently where it finally clicked for me, where people say, like, they say they want something. I want this. And there's 5 levels of want. I don't know if we'll get into that today or not, but there's 5 levels of want. And I say, okay, well, what do I need to do to get what I say I want? And I'm like, well, do this. And they're like, well, I don't know if that's going to work. So it's intriguing to me, Luke, that you actually, like, I'm surprised, I'm shocked. Most people don't live by that philosophy, but it doesn't resonate with them. Like, there's something, like, you brought it up. And so most of the things I do don't work. And when you think of a toddler learning how to walk, most of what they do doesn't work until it does. And so if a toddler gave up, like, and you never hear anybody say to a toddler, you know what? You fell down. You're never going to walk. You'll never walk. Like, so why do children, they just don't give up? They're relentless. They're absolutely relentless. So it's cool that you see that. Other thoughts or questions?
Not at the moment.
So here's an art tree. And so there's the founder. So this is like, have you ever seen Luke? Did you see the movie The Founder? The story about Ray Kroc?
Is this an actual movie or one of the YouTube videos or the
No,
clips?
it's an actual movie.
Oh no, I did not. I remember. No, but I
Oh,
haven't seen
you want to watch that movie. That thing will blow your mind.
it. Okay.
And if you watch it with me, and one of my rules is I don't watch movies more than once.
Mm-hmm.
That movie, I would watch again. I would watch it with you. I'm serious. As long as we could stop it throughout the movie and I could point out things that Ford versus Ferrari, you've probably seen that one.
Many times.
Yeah. So if we watch that one together, as long as I could stop it, I'd watch it with you and say, like, you could stop it or I could stop it. Like when we're watching the movie, you stop and you say, did you see that? And I might say, what? And you're like, well, this and this. And what did it have meaning for you? And so the founder, like, everybody wants to be the founder. Like, they want to be a Ray Kroc. I mean, down deep inside, they want recognition. They want rewards. They want people to honor and respect them. They want to be the founder. And then the next 2 roles in the art ripple, the leverage, is goal setter and follow up. And this goes back all the way to one of the first videos is the crazy dancing man. So if you're watching this and you haven't seen all the other videos before this, you want to watch them, but it's not enough to watch them. You have to internalize them. So it's like they have to change their lives. Like I was talking with my wife, and I'm like, it's strange to me. Like I've challenged people to write down, everything that's significant in people's lives. And I don't know that anybody's ever done that. It wouldn't take them long. I mean, that's not derogatory. It just is what it is. And so if any of you want to go ahead and write down, what's significant, I would like somebody to challenge me to do it too. Man, that would be cool. Going back to when I was 5 years old. I could go back into the womb, but Melissa wouldn't believe me. I stayed in the womb a couple months longer. She says, that's not medically possible. I'm like, I don't know. And then you go and drive and then communication and then accountability. So there's 31 roles. As a business owner, I think you either have to acquire these 31 roles, you have to get good at all 31 of these roles, or you've got to go ahead and get other people to do it. You've got to gain leverage. And so that's where Life GPS comes into play. The art library, I have been working on the art tree art team. I've been working on this for, I don't know, 7, 8 years. Jonathan died over 4 years ago. So yeah, it was 3 years probably before. So I've been working on this. I've never gotten the art tree to work once, Luke. Not once.
So I guess it seems like you were able to almost channel what many would think of like as inventions, but you're doing it with concepts and ideas more than like physical, technology. Is this correct?
You're just tempting me now. You're just teasing me. I love that. So when I turned 40, before 40, nobody told me I was smart.
Mm-hmm.
Not even my own mom.
I remember that. I was one of those people.
And so at 40, all of a sudden, everybody started telling me how smart I was. And when you live your first 40 years of life, not really even not thinking you're smart, nobody telling you're smart, and people start telling you're smart, you don't know what to do. You try not to laugh. Because people want to be around people who are smart. So if you laugh, you're like, I don't even know how to respond. I'm actually not that smart. I mean, every year I realize how much dumber I get. But I really started journaling. I started coming up with concepts when I was in my 20s. Like I started looking at natural laws, but I didn't start documenting them, didn't start journaling them until I was roughly 40. And so in the last 20 years, these are the different. So I discovered the roller coaster principle when I was 23 years old, and efforts and results. And I realized that often, like there's this roller coaster at 19, when my mom said, Mark, you come from I'm worried that you're going to be a workaholic. She said, you come from very hard work ethic family, both sides of the family, and you're on steroids. I don't know why she thought that, having 2 full-time jobs when I was in high school and 4 part-time jobs. I don't know what I was just planning for the future. Like I'm investing in to get my economic engine in place. So when I get married, I can spend more time with my wife and my kids. So I thought I was just thinking ahead. And so there's all of these, almost every one of these have come from pain. So your observation is very keen. Yeah. In my journal, I go ahead and bring it to basketball when my mind is really going. This is like maybe 10% of what's in my journals. So I once I get it in a journal, the best ideas from the journals come into this. So I have a system for this. So this was all handwritten at some point before I put it into here. Like 4 steps to conflict resolution. That happened. I discovered this, Luke, 22 years ago. This stupid thing has never worked, not once. Not one time. Really? Anyways, any other questions or thoughts that you have, Luke?
Yes, you mentioned internalizing, and I remember looking that definition up one of my first calls that I jumped on. Seems to me like sort of a maybe it's a foreign concept, or maybe I just have trouble internalizing it, wrapping my mind around it. Could you just expand on that a little bit of like, do you have any advice for actually internalizing things, how to do that?
It's just so weird. Like I just went over that. On Saturday mornings, we have this one at 8 o'clock Eastern time, and we have one at 7 o'clock. And the one at 7 o'clock, we're going through the white paper library. And so in the white paper library, there's over 100 white papers I've written over the years. And so, it's just crazy. And so, here's a white paper on WIFM. What's in it for me? The concept of selfless selfishness. And then we went over consistent and committed today. And then we went ahead and delved into internalization. And so in the internalization, I was writing, Tom Coons and Peter Miles and myself were doing like I'd said before, leverage, the magical arts of positive motivation and manipulation. And so, it took us, I don't know, 3 months to put together that course, 4 months to put together the course. And once we were doing a working session, and I said to Tom, I came to the session, I was frustrated. And he says, seems like you're frustrated today. And I said, I am. I'm very frustrated. He said, what are you frustrated about? I said, I share something with people and they're like, oh, I understand that. And they don't. And I learned that you can't tell them they're stupid. Like, no, you don't. You're clueless. You have no idea what I'm talking about. Shoot, I don't even know what I'm talking about, but I know more than you know. And so they go, oh, I get that. And so they don't, like they say, Tom, like I'm sharing something with them. And they're like, oh, I get that. And it's like, no, you don't. And I don't understand that. And he just laughed and he said, oh, it's because they're not internalizing what you're saying. And I could feel it. I'm like, the guy's a freaking genius. Like, how does he know this stuff? And I could feel that he gave me the answer to what I was looking for. So I quickly said, so how do I get people to internalize? And he's like, well, I don't know that. Like, really? But he had done that before to me. So he knew the answer, but he just didn't know he didn't know the parts he went through to do it. So he was unconsciously competent. So then I went to sleep that night. And I woke up the next morning with this model in my mind. Like everything. I rolled out of bed. I'm like, holy cow. I didn't even go downstairs because I didn't want to lose it. And I grabbed the first piece of paper, might have been a napkin. I don't know. First piece of paper I could get. And then I just took a pen and I just wrote this whole thing down. And so it came from this, the engineer clarity model. So ask questions, listen, see, true intentions, think, capabilities, internalize, and do. And that leads to results. And so the internalization, this is a submodel underneath the engineer clarity model. And so in this here, And this here, what it is you go from unclear to being clear in engineer clarity or unclear. This is where Elaine in my book on, you know, like Elaine in my book on clean windows, learning to see things we can't see comes from. It comes from this concept. Internalization, it goes from surface to deep. So what is it? Well, to go from surface to deep, you're talking like there's questions, and the right question creates an awakening, and awakening creates the right question. So you might ask a question that creates an awakening. What does every woman want from a man? She wants to be awakened. What does every man want from a woman? She wants to be awakened. He wants to be awakened. People want to be awakened. They're like, this is why zombie movies, in my theory, why they're so popular. People love watching zombie movies. It's the weirdest thing to me. I don't understand it, but I think I do. And that is they like to see somebody stupider than they are. I mean, that may seem harsh, but I don't know. It just is what it is. And that when we're awakened, we listen and we listen at a deeper level. Like Tom, the guy's probably one of the top 5 students in the world that I've ever met. And he can go through something and hear it 10 times, 100 times from me. And every time he hears it, he's going to hear it in a different way. He's looking. Other people say, oh, I've heard that story. I've seen that before. And it's like, have you? Do you really understand it? Because I don't even understand it. And that connects back into our why. Like, why did God put us on the planet? Like, my dad was a pastor and he never felt called by God to be a pastor. What? Like, I felt called to be, a business guy. Like, it is in my very DNA. And so we listen, and then why, and that helps us to see, because we haven't seen, which gives us insights, or maybe giving insights helps us to see. They can go back and forth. When we see and have insights, that leads to purification of our intentions. We realize we're not that smart. We're not that smart. We're not that caring. We're not that loving. We're not that righteous. And so when people are challenged with a new thought, like their brains never thought, you're not that smart of a person, and people get all angry because they've not thought of that. You're not that caring. You're arrogant. You're this. So if people have never had a thought enter into their brain, the brain attacks it, the ego does. But when we understand the purification of our intentions, we're not any better than anybody else. That leads to radically thinking differently, or maybe thinking leads to radical, or radical leads to thinking, which then gives us leverage. When we have leverage, we have capability. When we have capability, that leads to change, or maybe internalization, or internalization leads to change, or change leads to internalization. And then that leads to doing something. So we know somebody internalizes something when they do something. And what is that? And so this whole model was just like that. I woke up in the morning, wrote it all down, and there was this one piece right here that I didn't have. So frustrating. It's like you put the puzzle together and you have a 5,000 piece puzzle and you go and you're missing the last piece. It's like, eh. So I bring it up to the group, the leverage group, and I say, hey, I'm missing the last piece. And I walk them through the whole thing. And Peter Miles just reflex. He's like, oh, it leads to failure. What? But it resonated. I'm like, that's so true. Like, that's just life. That's the human condition. You go through all of this and then you fail. And then after you fail, you get it. What do you get? You get that so much of our world, so much of our lives are ruled by ego. Like, when you do all of this, so one of the things as an international speaker and author, you learn how to move whole audiences. Whole audiences, you move the entire thing, everything. And people will come up afterwards and tell you how smart you are, how brilliant, how intelligent you are. And if the ego accepts that, you stop learning. Because you go ahead and your feelings, and all of a sudden you start feeling self-righteous and a victim and entitled. So the internalization, and so you go ahead and get that you're going to fail, and you get that you're just like everybody else. And so you have a choice to make. And are you going to go ahead and work harder? Are you going to work smarter? Are you going to quit? Are you going to give up? Or are you going to just do more and more and more and more? So if you guys think this one was good, oh my goodness. If you thought this podcast was good, oh, you gotta stick around, because the next one on passions are just like, it's going to take this one and it's going to take it to another dimension. So if you haven't joined the Life GPS, you definitely want to do that for sure. So you want to join right here. You can join, click here. It only takes a couple minutes. There's a whole bunch of different groups that you can participate in. And so you can participate in this, and you'll be introduced to somebody who's called an art mentor. And then once you, at some point, you'll get 2 art buddies, and the 4 of you can be lifelong friends. Like, it's crazy what will happen. Always remember, we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye. Stick around.